We are recording. Go for it.
All right. And welcome listeners to another week of RVA Dirt's Municipal Mania.
Mania.
That's right. Heard every Wednesday here on WRIR LP 97.3 Richmond Independent Radio.
Yep. Hi.
That's us. Hi.
Hi. So
Oh my gosh.
when this actually airs, there'll be a message before that I plop into the front. And so yeah, we dropped a bomb on everyone. We dropped a couple of bombs on everyone previous to the show we're about to air. So yeah, that's fun. And today's guests actually relate completely to said bomb. And I don't really know how to introduce this. So we are going to let our guests, as usual, introduce themselves. They are repping the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation. And I guess I'm going to start over here to my left with Tara.
Hi there. I am on the board of directors for Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation, and I am a cancer survivor. I was diagnosed with stage 3 invasive ductal carcinoma, triple negative, when I was 37 years old. And I have just celebrated 2 years being out of active treatment and disease-free.
Yay!
Amazing. Yes, that's congratulations.
Awesome. And then Kirsta, right? Yes. We're all just meeting each other too, so this is fun.
Hello, I'm Kirsta Millar, and I am the policy manager at the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation. And as I'm sure many people on this call, touched by breast cancer personally through friends and family, and have been working with VBCF for the last 6 years. And I head up our advocacy work. And just like this conversation, we know that folks talking to their own legislators personally about their stories and sharing the struggles that they've had when they're in treatment and all those sort of things really help us to improve policies around breast cancer and healthcare. So I'll touch upon that maybe a little bit later. In case people want to get more involved with us, we're always happy to have more volunteer advocates.
I'm Erin Steigleder. I'm the education manager for Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation. During non-COVID times, I'm usually traveling around the state giving presentations, educating people about breast cancer and what they can do to be more aware of their health. And I tell people that my job is to get you to the doctor at the right time. So people are aware of the signs so that they go early and hopefully catch things early.
And what does that mean when you say go early? Because so I had my first baseline mammogram at 40, it was December 2019, and everything was fine, just dense breast tissue, and then this past, January, just January, I was like, oh, hey, what's that? And everything's just gone really quickly since then. Is 40 like the appropriate age to get a mammogram, or should we be pushing for sooner? Because my doctors have told me that they see more and more women younger than me coming in.
So that's a really complex question when it comes to breast cancer. So I will say that when I say come in early, I mean, if you notice that something is wrong, call your doctor. There's a lot of fear when it comes to breast cancer, and sometimes that fear can prevent people from going to their doctor right when they think something is wrong because they're too busy, or I'm going to put this off because I have to do 10 other things first. Or I'm too young to have breast cancer. It's probably nothing. I'm going to put it off. So that's really what I mean when I say go in early is if you think something is wrong, go talk to a doctor and either have your fears calmed or go through the process to catch something earlier. And when it comes to age of mammograms, that kind of is an individual thing. For years, the guideline was 40, But for some women, that is too late. For example, or some people, if they have a family history of breast cancer, you want to get screened 10 years before your relative was diagnosed. So if your mom was diagnosed at 45, you need to start getting breast cancers at 35 at least. So that is an individual question. And part of the process is talking to your doctor about your family history so you can come up with a plan together as to when to get screened. Another hiccup with that is that mammograms are a great tool, but like you mentioned, with dense breast tissue, it can miss tumors because dense breast tissue looks very similar to tumor tissue. And sometimes it can be hard to tell the difference. So things can hide. And yeah, so that's one thing to, and generally when we're younger, we have denser breast tissue anyway. So if we start having mammograms younger, we're not going to see anything. So that's one of the hiccups with it too, is just the technology of it is really wonderful, but not for everybody all the time.
But self breast exams at home are still highly recommended, right?
So when it comes to self breast exams, they've moved away from doing a pattern in the same way at the same time of the month, every month, because research has shown that that isn't really helping people catch cancers earlier. What's most important is knowing your body, being familiar with how your body normally looks and feels. And that can be skin texture change. It can be discharge from nipples. It can be, a heaviness that is new. Or oftentimes I've heard stories of women, people doing their everyday life things and they bump their chest like, oh, that's new. That's often when people find it just incidental, not necessarily doing something in a regimented way every month. Because then also people are afraid, oh, if I do it wrong, I'm going to miss something. Or is this the right way to do it? I don't know. Really check yourself when you're in the shower, see what your skin feels like, see how your breasts hang. That's really the most important thing, is to know what your body's normal is, so that when something is off, you notice.
Yeah, that actually is kind of what set me off. Is I was like, oh, I don't think I've done a breast self exam in months, and I was like, and it something doesn't feel awesome right there. And sure enough, yeah. And I happen to be super lucky. I went to my gynecologist right away, who scheduled, mammograms and ultrasounds right away. And then biopsy right after that. And then I happen to have a hematologist who is also a breast cancer specialist. And so I was already going to her for my anemia. I had all of these wonderful things fall into place. Like, it was absolutely perfect. I had no interruption between, finding it and beginning care. But that is not the case for quite a few women out there, especially even in our community. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think I'll start this off, and if Kirsta or Tara have anything, feel free to jump in. But I talk about how breast cancer survival rates have really gone up, and that's amazing. I think 1991 was the year of the highest deaths from breast cancer, and that was actually the year of our founding. And things have just improved from there, mostly for older white women. Things have really improved. Now, in recent years, things have been improving for African American women as well, but the most common cancer version of breast cancer is most common in older white women. We've got some great treatment options for that. The type of breast cancer that is more common in women of color, especially younger women of color and younger women in general, as Tara can attest to, is triple negative breast cancer. And we don't have targeted treatments for that at this point. So there's some issues there. And for African-American women, there's also been a delay between diagnosis and treatment. And there are lots of answers for that, reasons why that happens. But that's something that, particularly in Virginia, African-American women are getting their mammograms every 2 years more often than white women are. They have a higher rate of on-time mammograms, but it's not really equating to more lives saved. So that's an area where we definitely need to do some work.
And why is that? If the trend is showing that they are more likely to, we're more likely to be getting mammograms more, but it's not helping us, it's not saving us. Where's the disconnect there? Is it in the care? Is it in the post treatment? Where's the link? Where's the broken link?
Yeah, so it's in lots of places. It can be in the triple negative breast cancer diagnosis, which is more aggressive. It can be more aggressive, and it can be in the care. It can be in just the delay from diagnosis to treatment. And in traveling around, I've heard from a lot of folks that they tell me that they got diagnosed with breast cancer, but they didn't want to face it. So, or they had too many other things to do, so they weren't ready to start treatment yet. They wanted to wait for a certain amount of time. Or maybe some folks don't have access to medical care to pay for treatment, or they're afraid, I don't know how to pay for this, and aren't aware of the resources that are available in the state to help people pay for breast cancer treatment. So there are lots of things in there. It's hard to tease one out, but there's definitely lots of areas where we can do some work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I will say, just as someone who had triple negative breast cancer, I was too young to be getting regular mammograms, but even if I was old enough, they might not have caught it on my routine mammogram because it is so aggressive. By the time I caught it, it was stage 3, and one of my doctors told me that I might have only had it for a few months. So it's you could very easily miss that, even if you're getting mammograms every 2 years as prescribed.
And one thing I forgot to mention too is that the average age of diagnosis in breast cancer in African American women is younger than in white women. And what we've seen too with breast cancer is younger diagnosis can be a more aggressive cancer. And I've talked to many younger Black women who said, yeah, I went to my doctor and I thought something was wrong, but they told me I was too young. So it wasn't until I showed up in the emergency room for something else that they figured out I had breast cancer, or, things like that. So I've heard that story too many times. So younger women sometimes have trouble navigating the medical system and having some doctors look past the statistics and see the patient that's in front of them.
And, I went to my doctor right away and they said, oh, I'm sure it's nothing. They felt the lump and they said, it doesn't feel like breast cancer. And I said, we all agree, like, let's just get a mammogram. And they said, okay, well, you can get a mammogram in a few weeks. And I said, no. So I went to my car with a list of numbers and I called everyone and got a mammogram 3 days later, I think it was. And I was diagnosed within the next week.
The fact that you had to advocate for yourself to get that, and it wasn't just automatic. Like for me, it was automatic. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to schedule everything for you. We need to get on top of this now.
And I do advocate for myself, which is one of the reasons why I try to use my voice to help others, because a lot of people aren't like that. But you really have to keep pushing and keep asking. And if something's not right, or if you don't click with your doctor, find another doctor, call and get your own appointments. Like, there's really a lot that you can do for yourself that, it takes time, it takes persistence, it takes you having to face this and know that you could be facing this diagnosis. So it's hard.
And that's an ongoing problem as well in the African American community, for women having to advocate for themselves, for care, and being pushed, or having to push physicians to say, no, I can't wait, or if they're told by the doctor it's nothing, what is the next option? Because there may not be another option, for lack of insurance options, or just not knowing what
That's
the
one.
next option is.
And Erin and Kirsta can speak more about this, but that's one of the great things about Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation is that we can provide options for people that can't afford mammograms. There are resources that we can point people to help them get through that obstacle.
Erin may be able to speak a little bit more about some of the other kinds of financial resources that we can connect people to, but one of the main programs that Virginia has is the Every Woman's Life program. And if you do not have health insurance coverage, you can call this number for the Every Woman's Life program, and they will connect you with a free screening mammogram. The other thing that BBCF has worked on, we worked on Medicaid expansion in Virginia. That was a real big issue for us because we want everyone to have access to the screening mammogram and to the treatment options that they need. And, that's been a great boon. It's covering a lot more lower income folks in Virginia. And we just want people to be able to get the healthcare that they need. And, but I think Erin can talk to as well that there are some other options for folks in terms of help with financial resources, transportation costs, things like that, those are all things that come into play when you're facing a diagnosis like these. How am I going to keep working? How am I going to have time off? In the last General Assembly session, we've been working towards, we really want to push paid family and medical leave. Often people have unpaid leave, but not paid leave. And when you're facing a diagnosis of breast cancer, the last thing you need to worry about is how you're going to pay your bills and keep your health insurance and all of those things. It's stressful enough. So in terms of advocacy, there's some bigger picture things that the foundation is working on so that, everyone, man or woman that faces breast cancer is not facing additional challenges.
Yeah, as Kirsta mentioned, it's not just, and I'm sure some of you have experienced, it's not just the medical side because the rest of your life is still happening. So you get diagnosed with breast cancer, all the medical stuff hits like, wait, what about my job? Can I keep working? Can I not keep working? How can I talk to them about this? If you have kids, how do I do this with kids? How do I get groceries? How do I do all of this stuff that many of us are doing normally? Like, things are going to change. How do you, if you don't have a partner, how are you going to get support to do the rest of your life? So there are some services out there that can provide some help with those things, either financial or just other resources, but we are in need of more wraparound services for folks facing cancer and really the total uprooting of their life.
And if folks that are listening are interested in connecting with those resources, please go to vbcf.org. We have a newly diagnosed packet of information that we can send you right away, but then our website also has connections to all sorts of other resources. So that's definitely the first place to start, and we're happy to help in any way we can.
I got one and it's awesome. Thank you very much. I was really excited about the little pillow, and it is the cutest, prettiest little pillow ever. So you get a diagnosis, and you're going to see various doctors, trying to find an oncologist that fits you, etc. And I know none of y'all are doctors, but can you help guide folks through what treatment is like, especially there's a survivor on with us. Let's talk a little bit about what the treatment is like, because you see all this stuff on TV about, folks going through chemo and radiation and surgery and everything. And there's varying degrees of reality. So, especially for me, I have a little bit of an edge because I was a cancer caregiver, so I know a little bit about the process of chemo. But breast cancer isn't like every cancer. It's not treated the same, and treatment is individualized. So
before you step in, if I could preface this a little bit, and that's one thing that we're dealing with when we're talking about breast cancer is people think it's one disease, and it's not. It's multiple different diseases.
I have learned so much over the past couple of weeks. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, there are at least there are 4 main types that I usually talk about in my presentations, but I heard that there are at least 16 different subtypes. I mean, your tumors can express different hormones, and based on your genetic background, there might be certain treatments that work for you better. I mean, treatment is so individualized. They look at everything about you to try to figure out what the best treatment is for you. So 2 people who seem to be the same might have completely different breast cancer treatment and treatment experiences because of just who they are internally. So I wanted to be sure that we talked about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I recently met a neighbor who was diagnosed with triple negative invasive ductal carcinoma, same thing as me, but her treatments are completely different than mine. So even she was diagnosed at a different stage. So mine had gone into my lymph nodes, unfortunately. So I like to say I got the whole enchilada. I got chemo, surgery, and radiation. So in that order. And then after radiation, I went back and did a bunch of reconstructive surgeries. So I've had 7 surgeries total. So hopefully I'm done now. But the chemo that I got was pretty intense as far as chemo goes. I was told right away that I was going to lose my hair. So I was bald for a while. I had a wig, and then I finally was like, nah, we're just gonna go bald. And I went bald. So that was not anything I had ever expected to do in my life, was to have pictures of myself on the internet with a bald head, but it happened. Mine was dose dense. So I went every other week for 8 treatments. So it started mid-August, and my last treatment was the day before Thanksgiving, which I felt was really, really appropriate, because I was just so thankful that I was through it, and I could tell that my tumor was going down, and I didn't know exactly how much, but I felt good, and I was just so grateful. I think that's the one thing, is I learned to be grateful for everything in my life in a way that I wasn't before I was diagnosed, and just my support system. And so we actually had a party, my no mo chemo party, the night before Thanksgiving, where we toasted everyone that had helped during my treatments, and it was just a really wonderful thing. So I did my chemo. I had to recover a little bit from chemo, and then I had surgery in mid-December of 2018. And I eventually did a double mastectomy, but I chose to do a mastectomy on the left side with, they removed 34 of my lymph nodes, and they did a temporary reconstruction so I could look like, have a familiar body shape, and then go through radiation. And about a week after Christmas, the pathology came back, and I had a complete response to my chemo, which meant there was no sign of disease in any of the lymph nodes, no sign of the tumor. So the chemo did its job, and I was really grateful. But we were still worried that there was a little cell here or there that had escaped the chemo. And so we went ahead and did the radiation. Radiation for me was the whole breast radiation. So I went in every afternoon for 25 afternoons. Again, I took a little break in between surgery and radiation to heal. And honestly, I knew that I was considered disease-free at that point. So emotionally, that was the hardest for me, because I was ready to be done. I was ready to move on. I was ready to get past this. And I had to go every day for 25 days and have the radiation done. And in my case, because it was in my chest, I had to turn my head and put this snorkel thing in my mouth and hold my breath. So it was really, it was kind of intense. So the side effects weren't as bad for the radiation. I got really tired. My skin got a little burnt, but my doctor was also a beekeeper. So he recommended that I use this certain honey on my burns, and it worked. It was weird, but it worked. So that helped. And thankfully, other than the cancer, I'm pretty healthy. So I recovered pretty quickly from all of that. And then kind of spent the summer just recovering. And then that next fall, early winter, I went ahead and did the other side. And so I've had a double mastectomy at this point, because I was so young, and because the cancer was so aggressive. I wanted to reduce my risk of recurrence as much as possible. Did that kind of answer your question, or are you looking for more details about?
No, that answers the question. I think that's good because also, your side effects are also rather individualized. It's nice to hear somebody's story, but when I go through it, I may have something different. Now I have been told, fatigue, nausea, I'm going to lose my hair, that sort of thing, the double mastectomies and the cards, these are all things that you really have to grapple with mentally, because for women, hair is power. Breasts are part of, like, just intrinsically part of you, like you just can't escape them. And
Identity.
yes, it's part of
Identity.
your identity in a lot of ways, and you kind of have to deal with the fact that it doesn't make you, and so, that's kind of what I'm going through right now, is just really trying to get right with myself that these changes are going to happen to my body, and that doesn't make me any less of a woman or who I am as Melissa. It's just maybe an enhanced Melissa.
Well, the losing the hair was it was hard. It was really hard. I had really long, straight hair that I loved. And I felt like that's what made me look sick, was when I lost my hair. And, some people don't mention this, but I'm just going to mention that you don't just lose the hair on your head, you lose all of your hair. So, I got a real good eyebrow filler, put the mascara on where I could, maybe some fake lashes if I needed to, but that was hard. It was really hard. I actually bought a wig and had my hair cut like the wig before I lost it. And then my job was very forward facing at the time, and I didn't want to get those looks of, why is this bald lady helping me? So with people that I didn't know. So I transitioned to the wig. And then, once after my surgery, really, I stopped wearing the wig. And I found, like, for me, I would hide behind my long hair. And when I lost it, there was no hiding anymore. It was all me. And it became kind of empowering. Would I do it again? I wouldn't choose to do it again. No, but it wasn't, I look back at pictures and I think, wow, I rocked that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really is a mental journey just to deal with it. And so I always deal with things with humor. And so my plan is to absolutely do a video of myself giving myself like a mullet and like 90s shaved sides. Like, we're going to do all kinds of crazy mess until it's just gone. And might as well just be myself with it too. But I feel like a lot of other women just struggle hard. There's the mental health aspect behind all of this is really important to me to share with listeners. What resources are out there to take care of you in here while you're going through this process?
So we have a fact sheet. We put it in our survivorship packet, but it's I believe it's available individually, but it's a list of therapist resources and information about what it's like, basically, if someone has never sought mental health care before, what it's like, what to expect. The fact that if you don't like your provider, it doesn't mean that therapy isn't for you. It just might not be that right person. And what we did to create that list was look on a couple sources and find out maybe folks who specialized in body image, or things, other things like that cancer patients, cancer survivors go through, and just put a basic list together for folks to start with. But it's super important because, like you mentioned, breast cancer isn't just about your body. It can be about your whole sense of identity and femininity, because it is everything. And so we have some information there encouraging folks to talk to somebody. Also, most cancer centers, especially in the Central Virginia area, have nurse navigators that can really help you with some of the management of other things in your life, as well as some of the medical care. Nurse navigators, I'm sure, would be able to help folks get connected to mental health care while they're going through treatment. They're awesome advocates for the patient.
Yeah, I'm going to just add to that I know some of the hospital systems in our area have like counselors on hand. So if you don't have a specific therapist, or maybe it's cost prohibitive or time prohibitive, you can start there within the hospital system. I I found that when I started my treatments, I was really busy with the business of being sick. So there wasn't a whole lot of time for me to think about I kind of put my head down and got through treatments. But I will say that, therapy is a really good thing, because this is trauma. This is weird, right? Like, you're healthy and then 2 months later you're bald and going through chemo. Like that's a lot. The other thing that really helped me, I have done acupuncture for years and years and years. So once I felt ready, I did that as a complement to my Eastern medicine or my Western medicine. It really helped me with a lot of the nausea and a lot of the side effects. One of my chemo drugs had a high rate of neuropathy, where you lose sensation in your fingers and toes. And I did a lot of acupuncture and other remedies, and I didn't have any of that. So I was really happy about that. So I think if you can find things that are soothing to you, is it a massage? Is it acupuncture? Like, don't forget to focus on that. I think that's going to help you get through it as well.
And I think it was a few years ago, Massey Cancer Center hosted this workshop for yoga for cancer. So it was teaching yoga instructors specific poses, modifications, things like that for people who are going through cancer. Yeah, I don't know if Terry.
Yeah, they still have it. I think it's online now because of the pandemic. So that's a resource they have. They also have an acupuncturist that works with them, but I think it's a separate service, but they try to integrate a lot of those holistic. I think diet's another thing. When I was going through treatment, I kind of ate whatever I could eat, but now that I'm kind of through everything, it does make me feel better when there are specific cancer recommendations to reduce your risk of cancer. And Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation did a whole webinar earlier this year with a dietitian from Massey about specific guidelines that they have, and they're science-backed, which is nice.
Yeah, we also had, most recently in February, we had a webinar with a cardio-oncologist. So talking about the effects, the cardiac effects of going through cancer treatment and kind of the relationship between heart health and cancer. And we have all those webinars on our website, vbcf.org/webinars. So, I mean, we have all sorts of ones. We have one on mindfulness. We have, and we have more coming. So yeah, we encourage folks to take a look at that as well for some more information on specific topics.
Well, in talking about your the femininity issue, there's also one on sexual health after having breast cancer, which was really good.
That is super important.
Yes, I didn't think about that.
I know.
That just occurred to me, like.
Yeah, because I mean, again, it's not just, there are physical side effects that folks are dealing with post-treatment and during treatment. And then the mental is, how do you start to feel sexy again if you don't feel sexy anymore? Or if you do, but you're dealing with other side effects from your treatment, how do you combat that, either with medications or different therapies or things like that? And it's something that folks are often afraid to talk to their doctors about, and doctors don't necessarily have a lot of the information about it either. But it is good to open up that dialogue, because that's a huge part of people's lives. It's an important part of recovery, is talking to your doctor about other issues that you might be facing.
Also quickly just wanted to mention that support groups are really important for many going through cancer. And we have a list of support groups for every region of Virginia on our website if you need to get connected. And, just one thing to say about that is that the Virginia Breast Cancer Foundation was founded by 5 women who met in a support group for breast cancer back in 1991, and they were mad that not enough was being done to put money towards research and money towards treatment options and getting the word out. And so they were pissed off and organized and had a Mother's Day rally at the Capitol in 1991, and that was sort of the launch of our organization. And so yeah, the power of angry women is what we like to attribute ourselves to. So
Women tend to do that. We tend to wreck shit when we need shit done.
Agreed. I know.
Yeah.
So before we close, like I said, this is all brand new to me, this wide, wonderful world of breast
Me too.
cancer. Like what?
Me
But
too. And I've had cancer all around.
yeah,
Grandma had colon cancer last year. She's beat it. My husband has had a recent diagnosis, and he's about to have surgery when we're recording the show, but he will have had surgery already for brain cancer. So, I mean, it's just everywhere. I
RVA
suffer from
Dirt has cancer. Yay.
Yes, I know. We're just all everywhere. It's
It's
just
everywhere.
But my grandfather died from pancreatic cancer. I mean, we're all different types, but have had no experience with breast cancer.
Right.
And didn't even know where to start.
No.
Mm-mm.
So if we're missing something, if there's something that you haven't talked about that you really want to talk about, go for it. The floor is wide open.
One thing I want to touch on is that we are, like I mentioned, we're making great strides in breast cancer treatment and things like that for multiple groups. Like I think the mortality rate is definitely slowing down, improving for African-American women as well. But where we don't have much research is our LGBTQ folks. In fact, there's no accounting of how many LGBTQ cancer survivors there are in the country because they don't ask the question. We don't know. The survey will be closing at the end of March, but there's a national survey out now basically asking that question, asking about how folks have dealt with cancer treatment while LGBTQ. Like, do they have any issues with interacting with medical staff? What was their treatment like? Anything like that. Just trying to get basic information about this population because we haven't asked the questions before. So I would say we're starting in that space to get some more information, and is where we're also encouraging a lot of providers to educate themselves some more and their frontline staff and create new forms. And there's advocacy in the electronic medical record space as well to make sure they're gender inclusive, because it's not just how the person wants to be addressed, but it's their insurance gender and biological gender, or sex. So there's a lot of space to grow and lots more that we can learn to help all sorts of folks who are going through breast cancer.
Yeah, I'll just say I'm sorry that you're in this group that 1 in 8 American women are in. Like, it's not, I never wanted to be in it. And, I never want to invite anyone else into this group. But I will say that it's filled with some really caring, kind, passionate, smart, brave women that I've met and have really inspired me. So just keep your eyes open for that, I would say, because they're out there and they're ready to support you in any way you need.
Like yourself, and thank you so much for sharing your story with us, because I know, it's very personal, and we really appreciate, how it's turned to advocacy for you.
That's kind of therapeutic for me in a way, because I do like using my voice. So, but of course, and again, if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me, because I've been there and it's not a place that I ever want to go to again.
Thank you. It's much appreciated. You will hear from me for sure.
Well, I do have a question. And this is something I'm sure that many people will likely reach out, because we already have some folks that have already. How can friends be supportive? How can family members be best supportive? What types of things can be done to support our loved ones when they're going through the different stages of this bout? One of the things that I started, we kind of had our last hoorah, so we had our girls' date, and we had our little, get out, and we literally just ate crab legs in my car, and we went and did
We
some
did.
shopping.
We had a seafood picnic in the car.
We did in the car, and we went shopping for some things, and we bought some neon colored wigs, and
Yeah, because fuck
yeah,
it.
just bought some things. We did bought some eyebrows, and bought a bunch of stuff. And
I have eyebrow wigs. Like,
he does.
the greatest joy I think I'm going to find in all of this is letting my my nearest and dearest draw eyebrows on me.
Yes, I found literal eyebrow wigs. They're eyebrow wigs, and I was like, you're getting these. Sorry, you're having
First,
these.
I want a friend that I can eat crab legs in the car with, first of all.
I'm saying
that's awesome. It's so much harder during the pandemic, right? Because you probably have to go sit at chemo by yourself.
Yes.
So one of the things that I'm working on is a website that's kind of like a help registry, so people can register for exactly the help that they need. So yeah,
there is one.
Well, I'm building one too, so there's a lot of them. But
more locally,
that's the other thing that I did. Yeah,
if there's one out there already, use it, because I think that if you don't know what to do for someone, it's really hard. Like, meal trains are great, but there's only so much food that you need. There's other things that you need. I think sometimes if I don't know what to do with someone, I'll just check in. I'll just text them randomly and see how they're doing. You love humor, so if I knew that about you, I might send you something that I found funny. I don't know if you find it funny, but like something like really
you'd
try
be surprised.
yeah. People would, I had a friend, she's really an acquaintance, but she would send me a card every 2 weeks right before my chemo, and I would get a card in the mail. And just getting that, just little things like that. Every once in a while, a neighbor would just put something on my porch or just check in. There was the meal trains. I have little kids, so caring for them was a big priority for me. But if you have fur babies or plant babies or human babies, those all need care for too. And so friends can offer to do that. But really, if you have a way of telling them exactly what you need, I think that's the best thing. And then they can choose the most meaningful way that they can help you.
And we have a caregiver packet as well on our website that folks can sign up for and get, which has more of the practical, like how you take care of the other life stuff while the person that you're caring for has breast cancer. But also, like, if you are looking out for someone who's a friend of yours or someone in your family who has breast cancer, depending on your relationship too, just give them a call and say, I want to come over and do your laundry. What day is best for you? Instead of necessarily asking every time, because that can be another burden on the person who's going through the illness and their caregiver, because it's just one more thing to think about, like, oh, I don't know, I need everything. I don't know what to say. So think of things that you're comfortable offering and ask when they want you to come do that. It can be sending them a meal, or it could be picking their kids up from school, or taking, having the kids sleep over at your house, or, whatever your relationship whatever would make sense for your relationship. Think of something that you're comfortable doing and offer that. It's another way to take the burden off.
That is a very important point. That was one of the reasons that I looked into this website and I found it. And it's designed to streamline all of these gift cards, and I was looking for something that had a care box. I'm a florist, and so I make these gift boxes kind of things anyway, right? But I gathered up knick-knack paddywhacks in this box, right? Of things that I thought would be fun for Melissa, because I'm close to Melissa, so of course I know there's just some things, right? And then I called her and I asked her, I said, I'm sending you some stuff on, Amazon, and you tell me which eyebrow shape you like, because we can literally
So
reinvent.
ridiculous.
Yes, but it is, but we can reinvent which eyebrow you want, honey, because
I know,
we're
right?
gonna have.
I can finally get like that really high arch, like that Ursula arch that I've always wanted. I
Yeah.
finally get to
Yeah.
morph into a sea witch. It's gonna be
You
amazing.
can be whatever you want, because we're gonna take advantage of this, honey, and have fun. So
Right.
which eyebrow you want, okay? And then we went through 20 wigs, and she was like, "The purple one, thank you." Got it. And we went through all these things, and I collected, the box, the cup that's like, I'm gonna kick cancer's ass, and you picked the wrong bitch, all those cute things, right? All those things, because I know my girl, right? And collected all these things in the box. And I was like, where's there a site that has this? Because like Melissa isn't the only person that needs this box. So I started looking for that. And in talking to somebody, they told me, oh, there's this site. And you can like literally plug the site in, and the person, either you can do it or the person can do it, but you can plug it in that they can either get gift cards, or their boxes that are curated.
But don't say the
by,
name. We can't give out free advertising.
right. Yeah. I'm not.
We're restricted from giving out the name.
Yeah, I can't. I'm not. But there's like,
But if we had one that was super local,
yeah,
that would
I would.
be a really cool thing.
Yeah, no, I'm not gonna say it. I know, I'm not. I know, I can't.
But,
But yeah, it's like
I'll email you later for that
boxes.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we
I-
can put it in the chat. Melissa, put it in the chat.
Yeah.
But
I think that's so, I just think that's so important that you are giving people want to help. People
Yes.
came to me and they kept saying, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? And I was like, well, I mean, aside from curing the cancer in my body, you can, you can bring me a meal or take.
Did I lose you? Yeah.
Francesca.
Yes, I was on mute. I was saying, yes, can you feed me 3 days a week? Can you do that?
Right. Yeah. Can you, do my laundry? And especially, think about after surgery, you're not allowed to bend usually, and you have a restriction on how much you can hold, how much, like the weight restriction. So there's also, there's a couple of resources for that. But if the thing that really was hard was someone would say, oh, I'll take your kids, just tell me when. Well, it was really weird or difficult for me to, go through and call them and put them on the spot and say, can you do this? So I think that
Just come get them. Just come get them.
Just come get them. They're happy. They're running around. We're good
They'll
here.
be on the porch. Come get them.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
Door unlocked. Bring them back at some point.
They'll be fine. Well, all of y'all, ladies, thank you so much for coming on our show, doing something a little different with us this week, sharing your stories and your expertise, and educating us all. Thank you. Really, really appreciate it. And I'll be in touch, I'm sure. Thank you for offering this resource to all of Virginia's women. We really, really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good luck to you.
Thank you for having us.
us.
All right.
Thank you.